Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. Today, again, we have with us an artificial expert and an officer of the Vedic Dharma Sansthan. So, today we'll be discussing about the Kalki avatar with respect to the art of living. So, how does living in the present moment, a core teaching by Gurudev, work like Kalki's sword, cutting regrets of the past and anxieties of the future? Yes, Jai Gurudev. Gurudev often says the sign of intelligence is to live in the present. Most people unknowingly carry a heavy sack of past hurts, failures, resentments, and simultaneously worry about imagined futures. This dual burden breeds stress, robs joy, and fuels subtle adharma like blame, excuses, or procrastination. Living in the now is Kalki's sword. It severs these ties, freeing one to act fully, love completely, and enjoy each moment. I met a corporate leader who admitted that learning to be present through Kriya and Gurudev's reminders transformed how he led his team. Earlier, he was stuck regretting lost deals or fearing new targets. Now he simply gives his best today, and surprisingly, results improved. Being present also means you are less likely to react impulsively yet respond from clarity. Thus, living in the now actively dismantles karmic chains. Kalki's is a subtle battlefield where past and future lose their power to disturb. Gurudev often says the past is like your shadow, try upholding it, it sips. The future is yet to come, the present is all yours, celebrated. This playful, powerful approach uproots regret and fear, ensuring dharma thrives effortlessly in one's life. So, how do collective pujas like Sudarshan Homa, Navgraha Homa, or Ganapati Homa create energetic shields acting as Kalki's armies, warding off larger unseen negativities? Yes, collective pujas are more than rituals, they are powerful energetic operations. A Sudarshan Homa, for instance, invokes the discuss of Lord Vishnu, symbolic of divine intelligence that cuts through ignorance and clears obstacles. Navgraha Homas align planetary energies, preventing karma related turbulence from intensifying. Ganapati Homas lay the groundwork, ensuring all endeavors proceed without hidden sabotage. In our work, we have seen entire communities experience shifts after such pujas, less interpersonal conflict, businesses stabilizing, even sudden health improvements. Once after a large scale Sudarshan Homa organized for drought relief, rains arrived after years of scarcity. It felt as if Kalki's armies had ridden in, clearing blocks that human logic couldn't address. Gurudev beautifully says these rituals cleanse the subtle atmosphere, just like rain washes dust from leaves. When communities gather for homas, it amplifies intention, fortifies collective prana, and ensures that adharma, be it from past karma, negative influences, or sheer collective inertia, finds no threshold or stronghold. Thus, these pujas act as organized battalions of Kalki's energies, keeping societies vibrantly aligned to dharma even when reasons for problems aren't immediately visible to the ordinary mind. How does Gurudev's emphasis on humor and lightheartedness function as a divine strategy of Kalki's playful way of dismantling seriousness, which often masks ego? Yes, Gurudev's humor is legendary not as mere entertainment, but as a profound spiritual tool. He often shares stories with unexpected, delightful twists, prompting bursts of laughter that cut through our heavy seriousness. Seriousness is often mistaken for maturity, yet it's frequently a mask for ego and attachment to being right. Appearing important or nursing private grief, Gurudev's light-heartedness slices this precisely like Kalki's playful sword. I remember a participant upset after someone criticized her project. Gurudev laughed gently. Oh, so you are still a child, crying over broken toys. Everyone laughed, including her, and she later said it freed her from weeks of torment. Humor brings instant disidentification. Suddenly, you see problems from a larger perspective. Ego softens, heart opens. Gurudev reminds us that joy is our nature. When we are joyful, dharma flows effortlessly, conflicts dissolve faster. Thus, his humor is Kalki's subtlest cavalry, galloping right past our defenses, unseating pride and heaviness without war, ensuring we return to innocence. It's why, even in serious satsangs or deep meditations, there is always room for his sparkling jokes, divine tactics keeping hearts light and dharma joyfully intact. So, how does the study of sacred texts like the Bhagavad Gita under Gurudev's commentary serve as a direct training ground, forging Kalki like wisdom and discrimination? Yes, studying the Bhagavad Gita with Gurudev's insight isn't just academic, it's transformational. The Gita is essentially Krishna's manual on living dharmically amid chaos. Exactly what Kalki embodies. What when Gurudev unpacks these verses, people grasp timeless principles like non-attachment, equanimity, fearless action, and seeing divinity everywhere. A young lawyer once shared how a single verse, "Do your duty, abandon all attachment to results," completely changed how he approached court cases. Earlier, he was stressed and desperate to win. Now, he simply does his best and rests easy. This is Kalki training, discriminating right from wrong, action without greed or fear clouding judgment. Gurudev also highlights subtle aspects like how the mind justifies adharma under stress and how clarity burns such confusion. Thus, studying these texts becomes wielding Kalki's sword of Viveka, discrimination, silence, slicing ignorance daily. In Kali Yuga, where social norms often blur dharma, these teachings are priceless armor, whether read alone or in Gita sessions. We, with fellow seekers, it trains individuals to be warriors of light, upholding righteousness not through rigid morality, but through profound inner wisdom and joyful steadiness. So, how does the concept of seva, as constantly championed by Gurudev, embody Kalki's mission by transforming self centeredness into expansive compassion? Gurudev says the purpose of life is to serve. This isn't poetic idealism. It's a precise spiritual engineering to dissolve ego, which is the root of most adharma. Seva pulls people out of narrow self concerns into a larger ocean of compassion. When someone cooks for flood victims or teaches underprivileged children, their own petty complaints seem insignificant. It's Kalki cutting self obsession with the sword of selflessness. I recall a young man addicted to gaming who began volunteering with Art of Living's education programs. Months later, he was transformed, happier, purposeful, no longer trapped in digital escapes. Gurudev often points out that seva refines our subtle body, increases prana, and brings a rare fulfillment that pleasure or achievement alone can't match. In societies fractured by greed and rivalry, widespread seva is Kalki's strategy to restore collective harmony, making people care for strangers, communicate in communities, clean shared spaces, or rebuild after calamities. The seva is not a duty performed reluctantly, but a living current of Kalki's compassion, flowing through millions of hands, tirelessly dismantling the global epidemic of selfishness, reconnecting humanity to shared joy and mutual upliftment. So, how does surrender, which Gurudev so often emphasizes, become Kalki's final act, dissolving the last stronghold of ego and resistance to divine flow? Gurudev beautifully says surrender is not giving up, it's giving into a higher intelligence. Most suffering stems from trying to control everything, outcomes, people's opinions, life's flow. This controlling mind resists what is, creating tension, and karma. Surrender slices through this precisely. It is Kalki's most profound sword. I have seen countless people who carried immense burdens, family disputes, health fears, business setbacks, finally breathe easy when they stopped fighting reality and trusted divine timing. One woman struggling with infertility shared that after truly surrendering, her peace returned and miraculously conception followed later. Even if external results delay, inner freedom comes instantly. Gurudev often says, "You do your 100%, then drop it in the lap of the divine." This way, stress, anxiety, and obsessive guilt, subtle forms of adharma, are dismantled. Surrender realigns us with the universal rhythm where we act fully yet stay unattached, anchored in joy. Thus, surrender is Kalki's final act within us, the sword that cuts our deepest illusion that we alone must fix everything. Once surrendered, we become instruments of a far wiser, loving cosmic flow, naturally living dharma without inner conflict. Now, how does the art of living practice of Sahat Samadhi meditation serve as an intimate meeting point with Kalki's energy, dissolving ignorance effortlessly? Yes, Sahat Samadhi meditation is a mantra based meditation taught by Art of Living that effortlessly takes practitioners beyond thoughts into pure awareness. Gurudev often says it's like going to the source where the mind gets recharged. Most ignorance or adharma begins in mental restlessness, constant judgments, regrets, plans in Sehat Samadhi meditation. These agitations melt and one touches a vast silence. I met a doctor who was skeptical initially. After a few sessions, he said, "It's like some inner blade cut my endless analysis. I could simply be without overthinking everything." That's Kalki's energy, dissolving unnecessary complexities. Over time, Sahaj practitioners notice they react less, forgive faster, and handle uncertainties with surprising grace. Gurudev explains this happens because Sahaj strengthens the very root of the mind, making it naturally sattvic. Thus, decisions flow from inner clarity rather than compulsion, and problems get solved. So, how does the art of living practice of Sahat Samadhi meditation serve as an intimate meeting point with Kalki's energy, dissolving ignorance effortlessly? Yes, Sahat Samadhi meditation is a mantra based meditation that draws the mind inward beyond the usual chatter into a deep state of restful alertness. Gurudev describes it as watering the root of life where thoughts and emotions get nourished by pure consciousness. In this effortless descent, old conditioning and mental restlessness naturally dissolve. That is Kalki's gentle sword at work, cutting ignorance not with force but by illuminating from within. A young architect shared with me how, after starting Sahaj, he stopped feeling overwhelmed by constant deadlines and instead approached projects with a calm creativity. Over time, such a practice transforms reactions. Anger fades faster, envy finds no ground, and subtle dishonesty dies out. Gurudev often reminds us meditation is seeing God inwards. When you rest in that inner silence, you carry Kalki's presence everywhere. Problems that once triggered panic or deceit are met with stillness and clear perception. Thus, Sahat Samadhi is not just relaxation, it's a sacred battlefield where the deepest adharma, born of ignorance and inner agitation, is dismantled quietly each day. This is how thousands who practice regularly become living embodiments of dharma, anchored in joy and unshaken by life's storms. Now, how does the ritual of Trikal Sandhya honoring dawn, noon, and dusk fortify practitioners with Kalki's vigilance throughout the cycles of the day? Yes, Rikal Sandhya is one of our most profound Vedic gifts by pausing three times daily at sunrise, midday, and sunset to chant Gayatri and perform simple Arghya offerings. Practitioners anchor themselves in divine awareness across the changing tides of prana. Each period has different energies. Dawn is for setting intentions, noon is for maintaining clarity amidst worldly action, and dusk dissolves the days as residual impressions. When someone practices this daily, it's like having Kalki stand guard at each gateway of time, ensuring no subtle adharma, anger, greed, inertia enters unchecked. I have seen even busy professionals who take 5 minutes for noon Gayatri report that stressful negotiations become smoother. Their minds remain clear, decisions more dharmic. Families that maintain Trikal Sandhya cultivate an atmosphere of natural discipline and calm where children grow up absorbing an innate sense of order and reverence. Gurudev often highlights how aligning with nature's rhythms harmonizes internal energies. Thus, Trikal Sandhya is not mere ritual, it's Kalki's vigilant cavalry, ensuring throughout the day our thoughts, words, and deeds stay aligned with cosmic dharma, preventing the slow creep of unconscious habits that lead minds astray. Now, how does the collective reading or listening to Ramayana or Mahabharata stories, as encouraged by Gurudev, awaken Kalki like discernment between righteousness and temptation? Gurudev often encourages people to gather, even as families, to listen to or read epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata. These aren't just ancient stories, they are powerful mirrors reflecting the subtle play of dharma and adharma in human life. When we hear of Yudhishthir's commitment to truth or Ram's unwavering sense of duty, we awaken those same dormant qualities within. Likewise, witnessing Duryodhana's envy or Ravana's unchecked desire helps us recognize such seeds in ourselves before they sprout into harmful actions. It's Kalki's subtle training ground, preparing the intellect to swiftly cut off temptations that lead to downfall. One mother shared how reading these stories together with her teenagers made them more thoughtful. Her son even chose to return extra change given mistakenly by a shopkeeper, saying, I don't want to be like Shakuni. Gurudev says wisdom enters through listening or Shravanam, and through repeated exposure, our inner compass is set. Thus, these epic recitations become gentle yet profound Kalki interventions, cultivating viveka or discernment so that in daily choices, whether big or small, we instinctively lean toward righteousness, upholding dharma naturally and joyfully. Now, how does Gurudev's teachings that life is a celebration act as Kalki's luminous banner, defeating the dullness and despair so rampant in Kali Yuga? Gurudev's declaration that life is a celebration is not superficial cheerfulness. It's a profound spiritual stance, a declaration of war against the dull heaviness that marks much of Kali Yuga. People often drag through routines burdened by regrets, grudges, or chronic dissatisfaction. This tamasic gloom is subtle adharma. It blocks compassion, creativity, and unity. By insisting life is to be celebrated, Gurudev weaves Kalki's luminous banner, commanding joy to reclaim its rightful place in human hearts. I have seen even grief stricken families revived by embracing this approach after attending satsangs where laughter, dance, and wisdom coexist. Their mourning softened into tender remembrance, then into gratitude for love shared. Celebration isn't ignoring problems, it's staying anchored in the divine play. Even amid challenges, it melts loneliness, invites community, and keeps hearts light enough to serve others selflessly. Jagadev.